How do you account for this enormous campaign that has been launched against this freshman Congress member in terms of by so many conservatives and right-wing groups in the country and by the president himself? In your sense, what's behind it?
Well, on one level, it's very clear. Ilhan Omar is one of two Muslim women elected to Congress, the first two Muslim women elected to Congress. That gives her, I think, a certain level of prominence along with a certain level of vulnerability. Not only that, but of course, being openly Muslim, she wears hijab, she covers her hair. She's a refugee. She's an immigrant. She's a black woman. So she occupies all of those vulnerable positions in our society today. But it's not only that, I believe, if you ask me, because if she were a quiet black refugee woman from Somalia, Muslim who covered her hair and all of that stuff, then I think people would love to trot her out for the optics alone. But she's not a quiet congresswoman. In fact, I think that's a great thing. In fact, she seems to be a highly principled and highly effective politician, even just in the short time that she's been in Congress. So I think that, in fact, she's a scary figure to a lot of people who are on the right, and even sometimes to the mainstream establishment of the Democratic Party as well.
That was going to be my follow-up. Well, what about the reaction of the establishment of the Democratic Party to the threats against her and to the scapegoating of her?
Yes, well, I think that what we saw was, in fact, in some ways a litmus test of where the Democratic leadership and also those vying for the presidency lie on one of the more important issues of our day, which is, Islamophobia fundamentally. What we saw with Nancy Pelosi's statement, for example, on Ilhan Omar was, I thought, extremely disappointing. I thought she was refusing to name Ilhan Omar explicitly, was not didn't come out in her defense, and in fact was backhandedly accusing her of sacralizing or desacralizing, I should say, 9/11 territory, which was not the point of this controversy at all. So I thought that Nancy Pelosi's response was in fact quite shameful.
And now she's being attacked for criticizing Stephen Miller for his fierce anti-immigrant views, being told that because she's talking about Stephen Miller in the administration, she is singling out a Jewish member of the administration, which proves she is anti-Semitic. We had on Dr. David Glasser, who is Stephen Miller's uncle, his sister's son, who criticized his nephew for his extremist anti-immigrant views.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, does that mean that Ilhan Omar can only criticize Ilhan Omar? That would be the natural result of that. She's not criticizing Stephen Miller for his Jewishness. She's criticizing Stephen Miller for the positions that he holds, and that's completely within the boundaries of American political discourse.